Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regalytics, talking to you live from Legal Week in New York City. I'm so excited to be here out of my actual house like a grown human being. That is, of course, not stopping me from giving you your update on 24,784 regulatory alerts. The topic of the week is Credit Suisse. Many of you know I spent over a decade loving that institution and the people in it. I actually texted someone last week and suggested if it got too bad, UBS would buy it. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect that to happen so soon. But it did, and my heart goes out to all my friends there. I still think everything's going to be okay eventually. But clearly, the economy is correcting itself after the drunken pandemic spending spree. And we're going to test how well those post-2008 levers will correct. Goodness knows, we just faced literal contagion with the pandemic, and I hope banks get their masks on right away over their noses correctly and avoid an economic contagion. The regulators are on high alert, coordinating with each other per all the new approaches set forth in Dodd-Frank, MiFID, and you name it. So here we go. On March 15th, FINMA, the Swiss regulator, put out a statement that everything was okay, including Credit Suisse, that it had all of its appropriate capital buffers in place, and that if necessary, the Swiss regulators were willing to inject capital. Then over the weekend, FINMA announced that UBS had acquired Credit Suisse, that it would operate as a fully owned subsidiary, and that FINMA was able to inject up to 100 billion Swiss francs into either organization as needed. So just like that, a bank with 167 years of history is now gone. Some are, of course, worried of contagion to the U.S. Federal Reserve, but time will tell. But the real losers are the bank investors. The depositors and customers are fine, as is true with our U.S. banks, but the folks who invested in these institutions are not. Carolyn Crenshaw, one of the SEC commissioners, was worried and put out a statement this week about retail investors who purchased options in Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. In regards to those institutions, this week the FDIC basically told everyone that if they have a contract with SBV or Signature, they must honor it. The CFTC backed up the FDIC, clarifying that they too will back off of enforcement related to swaps, so even that can't be an excuse not to perform on your contracts with these banks. The FDIC also announced that Signature Bank, minus the crypto investments, was sold to Flagstar Bank. Another bank, the First Republic Bank of New York, was having issues, and 11 banks worked together to voluntarily deposit $30 billion into the organization. The Fed touted this as a great success. Regulators across the board are reassuring the public that the banking system is sound, and there are backstops in place to absorb these losses without creating global contagion. To be clear, Credit Suisse issues were not really because of Silicon Valley Bank or Signature or even interest rates, really. None of those things helped. But the real issue with Credit Suisse were some of the poor risk management strategies in relation to Archegos Capital and Greensill a few years back. A multi-year focus to eliminate investment banking, which they just sold to Apollo a month ago, was another piece of it. And generally, they just didn't have a great reputation anymore. Lots of management blunders over the years. So there it is. Rest in peace, Credit Suisse. I hope you have a happy home at UBS. The regulator of the week is the FTC. Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, is paying $245 million in FTC fines for tricking users into making unwanted charges. BetterHelp, the online counseling company where you can get a therapist, but to get to therapists, you have to fill out an online intake form, which they claim is private and HIPAA compliant, but apparently they've never gotten a HIPAA certification, and they failed to take reasonable measures to ensure that the data would stay private. Not cool. There's a comment period before the FTC drops the hammer, but you know that hammer's coming, and it's not going to be good. FTC nailed another company for bad non-competes. If you yourself, as an employee, have a non-compete, tell your employer you want it removed. If you're an employer with non-competes, reach out to your legal team and make sure you're not going to get in trouble. The FTC is launching an inquiry into small business credit reports. So this is like Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. The laws are really, really clear about what consumers like you and me with two eyes and a nose, but for small businesses, they have almost no visibility into their credit until perhaps they're denied on something. So the FTC is looking to make laws there, and as a business owner, I appreciate that. Finally, the FTC issues orders to a bunch of social media and video streaming platforms, YouTube, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more, to share with the FTC about how they are addressing the surge in advertising for fraudulent products and scams. So even more responsibilities falling on the shoulders of social media companies. And the general thing to remember is that if you operate as a business, there's no such thing as regulations not applying to you. Moving on, the SEC was prolific this week. 2 big laws proposed, both on the same topics, totally confusing, lots of overlap. Some of the commissioners, including my girl Hester, are super annoyed that they're highly prescriptive, like over-the-top specific about what companies need to do. But the topics are data privacy and cyber breaches, and what must be reported and when. And between these two, it's Reg SP and Reg SCI. It pretty much covers everyone. So financial institutions, exchange, rating agencies, swap dealers, FCMs, you name it. These 2 rules will apply to you and wreak havoc on your life when they finally go live in a few years. And finally, congratulations to the blueberry. The governor of Mississippi has signed a law that designates you as the official state fruit. Congratulations. That's it this week for Regalytics. Join me every Wednesday for your dose of regulatory news. I'm going to go enjoy this conference.